Welcome back to another video. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to my channel. And while you're at it, smash that like button for me. I really would appreciate it. Also, hit that post notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. Also, if you want to be a part of the Wealth Builders financial community that I have on Patreon, get down to the description box, click on that first link, which is the Wealth Builders Financial Community Patreon link, and sign up and come join us, man. We're going to be doing some wonderful things over there in that financial community to help one another be accountable for getting to our financial freedom and getting to passive income. So if you want to be a part of that, you know what to do. To that first link down in the description box, which is the Wealth Builders Financial Community Patreon link. Click on it, sign up, send me a DM. Let me know you're rocking with me, and let's talk about your situation. Let's see if myself and the Wealth Builders help you get to freedom, man. I'm sure everybody knows by now that the United States has bombed Iranian nuclear facilities. Of course, America, the current president, does not want Iran to have nuclear weapons. He's been on the record and said he doesn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. So yesterday, we sent some B-2 bombers and we attempted to take out, I believe, 3 of their nuclear facilities. Now, whether we did that or not is up for debate. Some people say we partially did it, we didn't complete the job. Of course, we will never know. That's the whole purpose, right? The American people, the people who live in America, we never really know what the real story is. But what we do know is we did send B-2 bombers. They did deploy bombs to wipe out and eliminate these nuclear facilities in Iran. And of course, everything that I'm reading online, everything that I'm seeing on corporate news, which of course you got to be careful with corporate news. They will paint whatever picture they want to paint for you. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, right? But from everything that I've seen, Iran is not happy. And the question I ask myself is, are we in World War III? That's the question that I've been asking myself all morning. What should you be doing right now, Richard? Because we are probably in World War III. Now, I'm not trying to panic anybody. I'm just trying to work through what's happening right now in my own mind. So I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. That doesn't mean we're in World War III. You may disagree with that, and that's okay. But in my mind, I'm always preparing for the worst, but expecting the best. So for me, in my scenario, in my mind, it's prepare for the worst, which is what? World War III. So what am I going to be doing? We'll be talking about that. But here's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to build wealth, and I got a lot of my net worth in the stock market. What will happen to the stock market in a World War III scenario? What would happen to the stock market tomorrow, Monday, June 23rd, 2025, when the market opens? Now, what we will get a precursor, if you guys want a precursor, you can look at the futures, the stock market futures, like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow. They have a futures market. So that will come out today at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You can look at the futures, and what the futures does is it kind of gives you an indication of what could potentially happen with investors on Monday when the regular market opens at 9:30 a.m. Again, guys, there is no guarantees for nothing, right? The futures market could show no problem at all, green as the grass outside, and then all of a sudden, boom, it don't go that way. Or it could be opposite. Sea of red, market opens at 9:30 a.m., boom, everything goes up. No one really knows. They're just giving you a prediction based on the information that they have. But that's a tool that I use, and I will use today at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'll go look at the futures market for the S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ to give me some indication of kind of what to expect tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. when the market opens, because really none of us know. I'm a little nervous because why? I got some seeds planted. Now, here's the way I look at it, and you guys may look at it differently. I don't see it getting any worse than Liberation Day or the day after Liberation Day when we took a deep dump. Remember Liberation Day? 90 deals, 90 days, tariff on the world. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Stock market tanked. Like April 3rd. Liberation Day, April 2nd, April 3rd, market dumped. Here's the good news. Less than 2 months later, what did the market do? Pretty much full recovery. So all I'm telling you is be prepared for the worst, but always understand that the whole purpose of the stock market is to do what? In my opinion, long term, it's to go up. That's what history says. That's not what I say. Go look at the history of the stock market over the last 100 years. You'll see the S&P 500 over the last 100 years has an average return of around 10%, 7 to 10% over the last 100 years. So even though this could be World War III, it may not be World War III, but here's the thing though. It's the perception that matters in the stock market, right? It's about perception. Whether it's World War III or not, of course, America, the current administration is saying, there ain't no World War III. We just told Iran that we're not going to tolerate them having nuclear weapons, and we couldn't come to an agreement, so we took measures in our own hands, and we bombed them. But that's it. Now they got an opportunity to negotiate, and let's get this thing resolved. That's what they're telling you and me, right? That's what they're telling you and me, but behind closed doors, who knows what's going on, guys? They will never tell us up front the truth. You know that. And I'm not just talking about the current administration. I'm talking about any administration, any government, Democrat, Republican, Independents, it don't matter. They will never tell the people the truth, not all of the truth. So whatever the truth is in this whole Iran, Israel, United States, who knows? Now, here's the question you got to ask yourself as well. You know, what does China have to do with this? What does North Korea have to do with this? From what I've been reading, China, North Korea have some type of, soft spot for Iran. Does China get involved in some capacity? I hope not. And again, this is not about me trying to be some expert, because I'm not. I'm just kind of giving you what's going through my brain and what I'm thinking so I can prepare myself for whatever comes. Now, of course, nobody wants a war. But unfortunately, guys, we have gotten in one. When you take B-2 bombers and you go to someone else's country and you drop these big old gigantic bombs on their land, that's something. You've declared something. I don't know what you've declared, but it's something. So what we got to do is figure out, how do we position ourselves to continue to build that wealth and get to that passive income, get to that financial freedom and that passive income. Let me just read you a little bit about, and then we'll button this thing up. Here's what I've been doing, guys. I've been out researching, trying to find out what's happening, what the market is saying. And I ran across this article, and I want to just give you a little piece of it, and then we're going to button this thing up. S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 futures set for volatile open after U.S. strikes Iran. See what I'm telling you? Now, these are big boy investors, publications that come out with this stuff. Again, that doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. That doesn't mean it's the truth. It's an opinion. Their opinion is S&P 500, NASDAQ 100 futures set for volatile open after U.S. strikes Iran. They're talking about 6 p.m. Eastern time today. That's when the futures is going to open. Here are some key points. S&P 500 and NASDAQ futures set for volatile open as traders brace for sector rotations after Iran strike. What does that mean? Moving out of some sectors, moving into other sectors. That's all that means. That's all that sector rotation means is investors are going to be taking their money out of certain stocks and putting it in other stocks. typically what you would see is whatever stocks benefit from a war, that's where you see the rotation into. Whatever those stocks are that benefit from a war, right? Who benefits from a war? That's what you should be researching right now. It's not my job to tell you that because I'm not an expert. My job here is to get you to think and get yourself out and do some research. When you're talking about a rotation out of certain stocks into other stocks, you're basically saying what stocks benefit from a war. That's where you'll start to see some investors going. I'm not saying all of them will go there, and I'm not saying that any of them will go there. I'm just telling you what the article is saying. So please go out and do your own research. Brent crude may approach $90. Listen to me, guys. This is all speculation. This is a prediction. Brent crude, which is basically oil, may approach $90 a barrel if Iran supply drops. This is coming from Goldman Sachs, outlines oil price risk as trading reopens. What does that do to the United States if oil goes up to $90 a barrel, guys? Somebody please let me know what happens to the United States. What happens to our energy cost? What happens to our gasoline that we put in our wonderful SUVs? What happens? What's going to happen to the energy cost? The gasoline that goes in our SUVs? Through the roof. $90 a barrel, guys, it's not sustainable. We're going to have inflation on top of inflation on top of inflation on top of inflation. It's going to go up. Why? Because energy costs are one of the main components of inflation. And if you got to go from paying, I don't know what oil was on Friday, but let's say oil was $65 a barrel on Friday. And then on Monday, Tuesday of next week, it goes up to $90 a barrel. Do you think that's going to increase energy cost? Do you think it's going to increase what it costs to fill up your nice SUV? Yeah. And guess what, guys? When that energy cost goes up, inflation comes right behind it. So that's scary. But here's the flip side. Who benefits in the United States when energy costs go up? When just oil and energy costs go up? Who benefits? Gas companies, oil companies, let's just say oil companies in America, and who else? Energy companies. They benefit. They benefit, guys. Energy and oil companies in America will benefit if the supply of oil is reduced and if oil prices go up. Why do you say that, Richard? Because you got to understand 20 to 30% of all the oil for the globe comes out of where? The Middle East. And guess where it has to come through? Iran. There's a waterway that goes through Iran that Iran can close down. Therefore, those ships coming out of the Middle East, these tanker ships with all this crude oil on it, can't get through if they shut the thing down. 20 to 30% of all the oil production comes out of that region. Now, I'm pretty sure, at least I hope, we thought this through. I don't know if we did or not, guys. Hopefully somebody is smart enough in our current administration to have thought this thing out. Again, they're never going to tell us the full truth, right? We know that. I don't care who's in the White House. They're never going to tell us the full truth. It's always going to be smoke and mirrors. It always has been that way. It always will be that way. So therefore, you got to become a critical thinker. And a critical thinker is somebody that thinks for themselves and do the research and come up with their own conclusion. That's a critical thinker. A lot of us are not critical thinkers. We only think what somebody tells us. Somebody tells us on TikTok. Somebody tell us on Instagram. Somebody tell us on TV network, corporate news. Some YouTuber. See, that's not critical thinking, guys. That's the problem with us in America. We've gotten to the point where we're so mentally lazy that we don't critically think anymore. We let some dude or some other dude tell us exactly what we should be thinking. That's not critical thinking. So hopefully somebody in our current administration thought about this. Well, golly, what if Iran cuts off the oil supply coming out of the Middle East? What if Iran does that and oil goes up to $90 a barrel? Is that sustainable? How would that affect the United States and our citizens? How would that affect inflation? Matter of fact, how would that affect prices of our goods and services? Because you do know all our goods and services, somebody has to make them. And guess what they use when they make these products? They use energy. Oh, it's just the airlines. No, it's not. It's any company anybody that does anything, you need energy. I don't care if you're running your toaster at your house. You need energy to run that toaster. You want to make you a cup of coffee in the morning. You need energy. They call it electricity. Yeah. When oil goes up to $90 a barrel, all of that goes up. Everything goes up. Why? Because everything we use, you need energy to make it. So hopefully somebody in our White House thought about that. Maybe, hopefully somebody did. Not just me. I hope somebody else thought about $90 per barrel for oil, what that would do to the American people. Yeah, see, these 1%ers though, guys, they're not gonna have a problem. You know who's gonna have a problem and suffer through this whole thing if it turns into World War III and we gotta go through all this stuff? Guess who suffers? You and me. We're the ones that suffer. 1% ain't gonna suffer. Nah, they're not gonna suffer. Just you and me. We're gonna pay for this whole war out of our taxes. We're gonna pay for this whole war out of increase in the prices of our goods and services. And the only way you're gonna save yourself financially is you better figure out a way to invest in some assets. And hopefully over time, those assets grow in value and produce some passive income for you. That's it. That's your only saving grace on the financial end, guys. This government is not going to tell you anything other than what they want you to know. You don't know if it's the truth or a lie. You just don't know because they're not honest. And I'm not just talking about the current administration. I'm talking about any administration. All of them are dishonest, in my opinion. Now, some will hide it a lot better than the current administration. They just don't care. They just do whatever they want to do, this current administration. The old administrations would hide stuff and at least to try to appear diplomatic and got our best interests at heart, right? This current administration, they just kind of do whatever they want to do, right? Because why? They control Congress, they control the White House, and they control the Supreme Court. So they can pretty much do whatever they want to do. All you and I can do is try to do everything we can to protect ourselves and our family from a financial catastrophe. Because I'm telling you, $90 a barrel for oil is not sustainable in America. I don't know about the rest of the world, but in America, it's not sustainable. Because everything we use, we need energy. And when oil is $90 a barrel, energy costs go up significantly. Think about right now what you're paying for your electricity. And that's based on what, $65 a barrel, times whatever the oil, times energy. When you take that oil and you provide it for energy, think about $90 a barrel, what your electricity bill is going to be, what your gas that you go to the pump to get is going to be. I'm telling you guys, all we can do is prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Again, I don't know World War III or not. That's above my pay grade. I don't get a vote. If I had a vote, it would be no, but I don't get a vote. Neither do you. None of us get a vote. Other than when we elect somebody to sit in that Oval Office. That's the vote you had. So you've had your vote and you chose who you put in there. So now you deal with it. Now that person who you put in there gets to make all the decisions for you. See, again, we don't critically think anymore in America, most of us. We don't. We just go through life having crap put into our filter system by our favorite whoever. You fill in the blank. Whoever your favorite whoever is, fill in the blank, and you allow them to put stuff in your filter system, and that's how you think. You don't critically think and go out and do your own research and your own homework. Most of us don't. Let's just be honest, guys. That's the reason we're in the jam we're in right now with what we got in the White House right now, is because of that. We have somebody come out and say, hey, we're going no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security. We won't get in no wars. We ain't gonna get in no wars. I'm the peace president. No wars. All of that. None of it came true. So all I'm telling you guys is these people are gonna tell you whatever they want to tell you to get into that seat. But once they're there, they're gonna do whatever they want to do. And that ain't just Republicans, that's Democrats too. Both parties. They're gonna tell you a bunch of stuff to get your vote. And then when they get in there, they do whatever they want to do. And that's what you see happening right now in the first, 150 days of this new administration? Within 150 days of this new administration, you've seen tariff war. You've seen the stock market do what? Decline. Of course, it's trying to work its way back up. Why? Because that's the purpose of the stock market. The purpose of the stock market, guys, is to go up. That doesn't mean it won't go down temporarily. It will. We saw that after April 2nd. But what did it do? Works itself back up. So you got tariffs, you got stock market decline, now you got a war. Of course, they're saying it's no war. But remember, they're not going to tell us the truth anyways until we can pretty much be in the thing, marching troops in there, and we'll still say we ain't in a war. But that's just propaganda. What you got to understand is, what does this mean for you and your family? I keep telling y'all, worry about you. What does this mean for you and your family as it relates to your financial stability? Can you get laid off from work today and be able to take care of you and your family for 6 months, a year, 18 months, 2 years? Do you have enough in assets tucked away to be able to take care of you and your family if this thing gets out of control? Because remember, guys, they're not going to tell us the truth. And I'm just giving you my opinion. You don't have to agree. And I'm not picking sides. I'm just telling you none of the 1% will tell us the truth. Nobody in the White House is going to tell us the truth. I don't care if it's a Republican president or a Democratic president. They're not going to tell us the whole truth. Some of them will be a little bit more forthcoming than others, but ultimately, they're never going to tell us the entire truth. So unless we start critically thinking for ourselves and making decisions that's best for us and our family to protect and take care of our family, then we're going to be in trouble. So what you should be thinking about right now is what's going to be happening when this market opens on Monday. Now, some of you guys are not invested, so you don't really care, but you should care. You should care. Because even if you're not invested in paper assets, guess who represents paper assets? Companies. Some of y'all work for those companies. Right? Yeah, yeah, start worrying about it now. See, some of y'all work for these companies that could get into trouble in an environment that we're getting ready to go into. Some of these companies could get into trouble. Oh, I don't work for a Fortune 500 company. Well, maybe you work for a mom and pop company. But guess what? Everything is going to get more expensive, guys. Everything that mom and pop company that you work for in your little neighborhood, in your little community, need energy. And when energy prices go up, if oil goes up to $90 a barrel or higher, your company, your mom and pop company, your large corporation has a decision to make. When profits start declining, when revenue starts declining, not only do guys like me that are invested in the stock market get hurt, but you get hurt too, because companies start laying people off. Yeah. Why? Because employees for most companies are their biggest expense. So when they get into trouble, when revenue starts going down, profitability starts going down, where do they start cutting first? Employees. Now it's starting to come full circle, right? So just because you're not invested into paper assets doesn't mean you won't be directly affected, because 85% of Americans or people who live in America work for someone. So if you work for someone getting a paycheck, right? If you get a paycheck from someone and they give you that paycheck because you trade time to do a job and their company starts losing revenue, therefore profitability goes down, therefore they got to start cutting expenses, they start with employees first. So this affects all of us, guys. What you have to do is prepare yourself financially to absorb what's coming. Because again, they're not going to tell you what's coming. They're going to tell you what they need you to hear so you don't panic and you don't start critically thinking. They don't want you to critically think. They want to be able to tell you what's happening. They want to think for you. That's what's happening. They want to think for you. You better start thinking for yourself. You better figure out a way to start learning how to critically think again. And again, all that is thinking for yourself, going out, doing your own homework and making your own independent decision. That don't mean you don't take little bits and pieces, but ultimately, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah said this on CNN. Blah, blah, blah said this on my favorite podcast. Blah, blah, blah said this on Fox News. Blah, blah, blah said this on TikTok. So that's what I believe. That's not critical thinking, guys. That's being lazy mentally. That's what that is. And they are betting on that you will be lazy from a mental standpoint. They're betting on that. That's why we're in the mess we're in right now, because we are mentally lazy. That's why we are in the mess that we're in right now. And who knows what's going to happen tomorrow when the stocks open? Who knows tomorrow what's going to happen with oil prices? Who knows? Thank goodness I'm going to have cash on the sideline sufficient enough to weather any storm as long as I need to weather it. And whatever I got in the stock market, guess what? It's not all, because guess what I did? I went ahead in my retirement accounts that I worked all my life, and guess what I did with them? Turned them into cash, because I knew something stupid like this was going to happen. See, I knew it. So what do? I went and turned it all into cash, and now it's sitting in a money market account at Vanguard in cash. Don't get me wrong, my short-term strategy money is still in the market. So it's subject to whatever these shenanigans these guys in control right now take it through. But my retirement funds, I turned it into cash. So it's sitting in cash because I knew something stupid like this would come. I knew it, because we don't critically think anymore. We just elect people because they tell us a bunch of whatever we want to hear, and we think, oh, all of that's going to come true, and none of it comes true. None of it. So that's what I did. I went to cash in the investment account for the retirement funds. Will I go back into the market? Yes, but I ain't going back in until I'm pretty sure all the shenanigans are over, which that probably won't be for 4 years. These shenanigans won't be over with. This is just the start. But I'm going to still use the short-term strategy to do what I need to do to make money, to what I need to do to continue to, but I'm not going to put it all in. Now, I got a big portion in, but I also got a nice little portion outside of it because I knew something like this with some kind of shenanigans, right? I knew some shenanigans because, see, these people do not care about us. All they care about are themselves and the 1%. That's it. That's all they care about. I guarantee, well, I can't guarantee it, but my belief is most of the 1% are probably liquid. Now, don't get me wrong. Companies like the Magnificent Seven, they fine. Those companies are fine. They got such large market caps. They're so vital to everything the world does. They're going to be fine. They're going to take a little dipsy. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the market opens tomorrow and goes to the moon. Maybe. But maybe it opens tomorrow and goes down to, 5,000 feet under the earth. It may do that tomorrow too. So you better prepare. I'm invested, guys. I got money in the stock market right now. It could blow up on me tomorrow. But the good news for me is I know the history of the stock market. At some point, it will come back. At some point. I don't know when, but at some point. But until it does, I'm going to sit on the sideline with my cash reserve, and I'm going to pick and choose any dip days, if we get any. I'm crossing my fingers we don't get any dip days, and we just maintain and hopefully just ignore this and just keep progressing. I don't think we can ignore it, though, because 20 to 30% of all the oil in the world comes out of the Middle East, and it has to come through Iran. That's the problem. See, money talk and beat, 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 walk. Y'all know the saying. Money talks, beat, 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 walks. You fill in the blanks. Most of y'all know some of y'all know what I'm talking about if you're old school. Money talks, beat, beat, walks. And what happens if those people over there in Iran, pissed off and mad, decide to shut down that waterway where that 20 to 30% of all the oil in the world comes out of? What happens if they decide to retaliate and shut that down and act stupid? What's going to happen? Oil prices going up. Because when you take off 20 to 30% of all the oil production in the world, for the world, comes out of that region, and they cut it off, I don't care if they cut it off for 2 weeks, a month, 3 months. It's devastating, guys. It's devastating. Now, on the other end, oil companies in America, energy companies in America will prosper, I think. They may benefit from that, because now their supply becomes more valuable because of that other supply is not available. So their supply becomes more valuable. And you already know supply versus demand, right? We've had that conversation. We've had the conversation of supply versus demand. The more supply you have, right? The more supply with little demand, prices go down. The less supply you have with more demand, prices go up. So more demand, not enough supply, prices go up. Too much supply, not enough demand, prices go down. What scenario are we going to be in if oil goes up to $90 a barrel? The reason it goes up because supply is down. So prices go up, which will affect energy, which is a huge component of what? Inflation, right? Huge component of inflation. Here's another key point. Traders expect energy gains and tech pressure as markets reprice geopolitical risks at Monday's open. You heard what they just said. Now this is what they're saying traders expect, that energy sector will gain. Why? Because you got the imminent fear of that oil coming out of the Middle East, not coming out of the Middle East. So energy companies, oil companies, potentially, guys, I'm no expert here. I'm just reading the article. So let's get that straight. You go out and do your own fact finding and come up with whatever you want to come up with. But I'm telling you what the article is saying. The article is saying traders expect that energy will get gains. And that just means energy companies, gas, oil companies could see gains, could see an increase, could see a rally. Doesn't mean that'll happen, though. Tech pressure. So that means tech might sell off. I don't know if that'll happen or not. I'm just telling you what these people are saying in the article. They're saying energy might gain, tech will be under pressure. All that means is could be a sell-off in tech. So if you're looking for the dipsy, maybe that's the sector there will be a dipsy in. Might be an opportunity for somebody. I don't know. I don't know. Traders face a high-stake open Sunday night as futures on the S&P 500 and other major indexes react to Saturday's U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Please, guys, if you don't listen to nothing else I say in this video, at 6 p.m. Eastern time, go look at the futures. Go look at the S&P 500. Go look at the NASDAQ 100. Go look at the Dow, maybe the Russell 2000 for your small cap stuff. Go look at them. They will give you some indication of what they are predicting for Monday. That doesn't mean it's all accurate, guys. That doesn't mean it's etched in stone. Oh my God, the future says it's going to be a sea of red and you can't sleep tonight. That don't mean that. But it just gives you some indication of what others are thinking to help you prepare and critically think through this. Oh, I'm going to go look at this guy on YouTube and get him to tell me what to do. No, that's wrong. Don't do that. Let's keep moving. The sharp escalation in U.S.-Iran tensions is expected to drive sector-specific volatility, with energy and defense likely to lead, while tech and travel may come under pressure. Now you got this information, you go critically think and go critically do some fact-finding and some research. Personally, if I'm trying to put myself in position, I potentially want to go look for me an ETF, the best of the best when it comes to energy ETFs, the best of the best when it comes to defense ETFs. Basically, those are kind of sectors. So defense, right? People who aid in providing military, all that kind of stuff, that's defense. Any company that's associated with that and your energy companies. Now, the problem is I'm not an expert, so I don't know how to go pick good energy companies. I don't know how to go pick good defense companies. I don't know how to pick those. I don't know anything about those industries. I'm not that smart. So what should I do, Richard Fain, if you're critically thinking through this? I probably should go get me an ETF and let the ETF be the expert. Maybe I go to Google and say, give me the top 10 defense ETFs. Give me the top 10 energy ETFs. There we go. I can start with that, and then I can see who the best is because I can see what the rate of return has been. I can see what the expense ratio is. I can see how long they've been around. And maybe if I'm interested, that might be the way I want to go. I don't know. You guys think about that one. I'm going to move on. Institutional analysts had warned this type of disruption would force rapid repricing across key parts of the market. And now those models are being tested in real time. Goldman Sachs had already pegged a $10 geopolitical premium on crude oil before the strikes. One of their analysts warning prices could test $90 a barrel if Iranian exports drop by 1 million barrels per day. This is what the experts are saying, not me, experts. Warning prices could test $90 if Iranian exports drop by 1 million barrels per day, with Iran producing 3.3 million barrels and no immediate OPEC plus spare capacity ready to fill gaps. Traders may aggressively bid up crude futures at Sunday's open. This is how you critically think, guys. You go out, do your research, and they're spelling it out for you in black and white, at least their opinion. Now, you can go out there and find other opinions too, but this is their opinion. They're telling you right here that if exports, oil exports from Iranian exports, oil drop by 1 million barrels per day, could be a problem. Could be a problem. J.P. Morgan historical analysis showed regime change scenarios tend to spark deep oil price spikes, with past examples like Libya in 2011 and Iran in 1979 sending crude up as much as 76%. The Strait of Hormuz. That's the body of water I was talking about earlier that I couldn't remember the name. It's called the Strait of Hormuz, responsible for 20% of global oil transit, remains a focal point, even as analysts downplayed the odds of full disruption due to U.S. naval presence. I keep telling you guys, a lot that happens in the stock market is driven by speculation. All investors have to do is even speculate a little bit that we're going to lose 1 million barrels per day out of Iranian territory. They just need to speculate it. If they even start believing it, whether it's true or not, it's the perception that can spark it. Just that perception. Boom. Gone. So be careful. Be careful. Will energy and defense stocks open strong while travel lags? Defense contractors, Lockheed Martin, RTX, Northrop Grumman, and L3 Harris were already flagged for upside, with analysts noting a $28 billion gain for the group during past Middle East escalations. Futures could reflect renewed interest there. Again, I'm not telling you guys what to do, but the article just gave you some names you might want to go out and critically think through, right? Don't be listening to some dude on YouTube. Go critically think through this. Go do you some research tonight. Don't be around here sitting on the TV tonight watching Netflix or on your phone watching TikTok food reviews. Don't be on TikTok watching food reviews tonight. Do you some research if you really want to figure out what's going on, right? They just gave you some companies, some defense contractors. I'm not saying I'm giving them to you. I'm just telling you what the article gave you. Let me read them one more time. Defense contractors, Lockheed Martin, RTX, Northrop Grumman, and L3 Harris were already flagged for upside, with analysts noting a $28 billion gain for the group during past Middle East escalations. Futures could reflect renewed interest here. Energy equities such as Chevron, Diamondback, Marathon Petroleum, and APA Corp are also expected to benefit from oil price strength. On the downside, airlines and travel names like United, Delta, JetBlue, Booking Holdings, and Airbnb may see pressure from surging jet fuel costs and weaker travel sentiment. That's all I got for you. That's all I'm gonna give you. I'm tired. I gotta do my own homework. I can't be on here all day with y'all, but I appreciate you for stopping by and listening for the little few minutes you listened. Again, guys, I'm no expert. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You go do whatever you want to. I recommend you do some critical thinking and stop letting people think for you. That's the problem right now, and that's why we're in the predicament we're in right now. Because we let people think for us. We let people tell us anything they want to tell us, and then it don't come true. But guess what? That's on you and me. Now, you can go look for somebody to blame, but ultimately, when you look in that mirror tonight, when you're getting yourself ready for bed and you look in that mirror tonight, where we're at today, guys, is a direct reflection of the people who live in America who voted in November. About 80 million of y'all. So guess what? You live with what you voted with. But what you can do is just try to get yourself in some type of position to take care of yourself long term. Don't be afraid of opportunity. Opportunity tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, it will be an abundance of opportunity. What you do with that opportunity is on you. Now you can put your head in the sand and let the opportunity pass you by, or you can do some critical thinking tonight, do you some research, and figure out, how do I get myself in these opportunity zones? How do I get myself in these opportunity zones and make some wealth? Somebody listen, guys, and this is it. I'm gonna end with this. Somebody's going to get wealthy during this period of chaos. Somebody's going to get really wealthy, guys. And I think the people that will get wealthy during this chaos are people who think logically, people who critically think for themselves, which is critical thinking, and who are not afraid to execute. They've looked at the risks, they've looked at the reward, and they've chose, okay, I'll take a certain level of risk for a certain level of reward. Those are the people that are going to come out of this thing. Mwah. The rest of y'all, I don't know. Y'all might be still sitting around here letting people tell you what to do. Stop, guys. Please stop. All right, man. Appreciate y'all. Like I said, get down to that first link, which is the Wealth Builders Financial Community on Patreon link. If you want more of this real talk, if you want more of this real game, that's where you can find me at. That's where you can find another couple thousand wealth builders. We're not experts. We don't try to be experts. All we're trying to do is to help one another get to financial freedom and ultimately passive income, which gives us what? Independence. Keeps us out of the financial weeds. If you want to be a part of that, click on that link, that first link. It'll take you over to Patreon. Come join us. Send me a DM to let me know you're rocking with me. Let's go to work. But we got to start critically thinking again, guys. If we do not critically think, we're going to be in trouble. If we continue to let people just tell us whatever they want to tell us, never hold them accountable for telling us something and doing something else, we're in for a world of trouble here in America. We are in for a world of trouble. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing, share the video, smash the like button. Thoughts become things. Sit in your mind, hold it in your hands. You guys keep chasing your greatness. Never stop believing in yourself. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bang.